Hello, everybody, and welcome to the As Yet Unnamed podcast, which will probably be mostly about F1, but we'll see how we get on with things like that. Obviously, this is my first one, so go gentle. Probably going to be weekly on a Wednesday morning. We'll see how we go. So this is mostly going to be F1, this podcast. This particular episode is going to be pretty much all F1. I'm not sure if this is going to become an F1 only podcast, if it's going to be a general podcast, or whether I'll end up doing two podcasts, a general and an F1 one. But we'll start with this. The main thing we're going to be discussing today is my predictions for the F1 2022 season. As well as telling you how I sort of got into the sport, because I got into it fairly recently. And that's what we're going to start with. So, I've been using the car game. I've been racing in the car games for quite a while, like 2011, 2013, all of those. A bit of a break for a while. Bought 2019, didn't race it too much. And I may have even bought it when 2020 came out and 2019 was on sale. I can't remember. I did that with Call of Duty when I first got into them. But, yeah, so in the end, I was a mixture of Drive to Survive and watching other people play F1 games. Going back into 2019 and 2020, kind of got a little bit at the end of the 2020 season, yeah. But that was about it. I have some of my 2019 F1 playthrough on the channel if you want to see that. I played just one season of that. I mean, season 2 of 2021 F1. The story of my F1 in my virtual career is that I joined Haas for a year, won the championship, and then I had a year off while I set up my own team that in 2021 was 5th and 5th, so 5th drivers, 5th constructors, and then in F1, and then in 2021.2, I guess, currently I'm first in the drivers and second in the constructors, behind Red Bull, but I plan on changing that. I'm going to make the game a lot harder for me, so I don't just waltz away, because I've won 3 or 4 in a row now. Keep just notching the difficulty up, and I do full races, full qualifying, full practice, sort of full practice. I'll skip for a little bit. But anyway, in terms of last season, just to sort of get this out of the way, I don't want to discuss last season too much because, of course, there is controversy. I wanted Verstappen to win, as a lot of people who were getting into the sport for 2021 wanted to. I mean, by the end of 2021, I was watching all practices, all qualifying and races and everything. I wanted Hamilton to win just to get rid of the old guard of. I wanted Verstappen to win. Sorry if I said Hamilton. I wanted Verstappen to win to get rid of the old guard of Hamilton and things like that. So after Abu Dhabi, in the short time I was happy. I had a fantastic experience on the day. I was with family, my girlfriend's family, things like that. They both deserved it, Verstappen and Hamilton. Both had decisions not go the way during the season. Obviously, Silverstone for Verstappen. I don't think Hamilton was penalised enough for that. And in Saudi Arabia itself, of course, you had on the opening lap where Hamilton overtook him way on the outside, and apparently got all of the advantage back, but I didn't really see that. And of course, the ending, which was just a bit of a shit show for everybody. I just want Verstappen to win another one, even if it's not this year, 2022. You know, if it's just one in the future, just to make just without doubt that he is a world champion material, because he certainly is. I mean, you could say that even if you completely, if it ended before Saudi Arabia. Obviously, Jeddah, there were some issues as well. But yeah, in terms of predictions for 2022, picking the top 3 was quite easy to do, and you could probably guess what they are. They're Mercedes, Red Bull, and Ferrari. I'll tell you what order in a moment. But to help me try and come up with my own predictions, in case you want to come up with your own before we begin, and of course, this is after testing. I'm recording this on the 15th. It's going out on the 16th. For last year, because again, I put them in like 4 categories for last year, and it helped me then work out the rough order for what I think 22 is going to be. So, fight for the win, of course, Mercedes and Red Bull. Then, best of the rest was Ferrari and McLaren. Mid-pack, Alpine, AlphaTauri, Aston Martin, and then back markers of Williams, Alfa Romeo, and Haas. And that was the order that they did finish in. For 2022, I think things are going to be very close, not because of people being close necessarily, but because of the competitive order will change so much. So a team that might start off the beginning of the year quite poor will get a lot better by the end and start overtaking people towards the end, and vice versa. Obviously, people will slip down. So I think it's going to be a very, very close season, not because necessarily all the cars are as close as what the standings will make it out to be, but because things will change so much. With these predictions, of course, it is important to say that it's going to be very hard to come up with a pre-season order. It's going to be quite hard to come up with that order because so much has changed. You've got drivers in radically different cars. You've got obviously the whole new specification that cars have to be. You have things like Alfa Romeo, for example. They all have their individual issues. So like McLaren has brake duct issues. How long is it going to take that to get fixed? Mercedes just have issues in general by the looks of it. And has to look really good at the beginning. Could they rapidly drop off to go the other way? Alfa Romeo's gearbox could be a nightmare through the whole season. I think Bottas will do all right. I'm not too sure on Joe, to be completely honest with you. Bottas, I think, will do all right when the car is working, but I don't think it'll be enough and things like that. So, again, so we had fighting for the win, best of the rest, mid-pack, and back markers for my sort of groups in 2021. I got rid of best of the rest, because I'll explain that in a minute. Fighting for the win, I think, or should we go from the bottom upwards? We'll go from the bottom up. So for the back markers, I think Alfa Romeo is going to be at the back. Due to Joe being brand new, the only rookie driver of the season, and gearbox issues. I think reliability for Alfa Romeo will be their main hindrance. As I think they'll score points when the cars work. Hang on, I want to add a couple more predictions on here. Right, okay, sorry, so where was I? So yeah, Alfa Romeo, I think they're just going to really struggle. I think on his day and like, you know, with the car working and stuff, I think Bottas will be up with Aston Martin and McLaren and stuff, and apologies for my next door neighbour's bastard dog, always fucking barking, for no fucking reason. Above that is Williams. I think Albon is good. I think Latifi is a bit more meh. I don't... To be honest with you, other than the top three and Alfa Romeo, the rest of these are so hard. I put Williams as back markers, but they easily couldn't be. It's so hard to say for the middle set, which is why I tried to split them up a bit to try and help me, but really it hasn't worked. So I'm fairly sure on Alfa Romeo, I'm fairly sure on the top three being in the top three, possibly a slightly different order. But then the mid-pack, I have no idea. The way I have them now, and already I look at it and think it doesn't feel right, but don't know how to order them otherwise. Up from Williams, I have Alpine. I'll be honest with you, I forget that Alpine exists half the time. Alonso doesn't mean much to me because it was before my time, and I've often forgotten Ocon's name, to be brutally honest with you. Above them, I've got McLaren. McLaren, again, it really depends on reliability again. That, you know, if this duct issue is sorted immediately, they might go up a few. But otherwise, it's hard to know. Haas, I think they've got a talent in Mick Schumacher. I don't think they had a talent in Dickhead, aka Mazepin. I don't think they had much talent there anyway, and the fact that he's gone. He wasn't banned because he was Russian. He was got rid of because they couldn't work with the main sponsor that put him there, so they have no reason to keep him in the car. That's my understanding of the way that that's worked, is that legally they didn't have to get rid of Mazepin, but the only reason why he kept his contract for another year was the money, which they did get taken away from because they weren't allowed to use the stuff, and if Swift disappeared and they lost the sponsorship halfway through. So that is why Kevin Magnussen is back. Not the Phoenix, but Kevin Magnussen. And that's why I've put them in. Have I really put them? I've put them in 6th place, which I think is about right. I think they're going to send a reset to around the first few years in F1. Could they be the next Racing Point? Possibly, but we'll have to see. Up from Haas, I have Aston Martin. Love the livery of the Aston Martin. Like the one of the Alpine as well. Really like the pink. And I actually quite like the blue on the McLaren, by the way. But never mind. Aston Martin seemed very quiet during testing, but I don't think they had massive issues. I'm trying to think. Like the Williams was the one that caught on fire. Alfa Romeo had gearbox issues. I can't remember the Aston Martin having issues. I might be wrong. But yeah. Again, some of these midfield teams I feel like we didn't see during testing. People were either focusing on the ones that were having issues, so Alfa Romeo and Williams. And then the rest of them, and then McLaren, I'll come back to that in a minute. So yeah, Haas, I think he's going to be 6th. I think good car and Kevin Magnussen, so they go to benchmark it off, because with Mazepin and Schumacher, they got no fucking idea. And Mazepin, not only was it 2 rookies, but also, if you've watched Drive to Survive, Mazepin was a tosser throughout. AlphaTauri, I've got them above Aston Martin. Again, this is a group that could all middle about. I think they're all going to be very close, within like 10 points of each other. That's a prediction. Mid-pack, within 10 points of each other. And I mean easily within 10 points, not like 10, 10, 10 like it was at some points last year. Yeah, and then I think Mercedes is actually going to be 3rd in the drivers. In the constructors, sorry. Again, it's a case of they're struggling in testing, but it could all just be a show and a bit of sandbagging and stuff. We'll see. Supposedly Alpine, or was it Aston Martin? I can't remember if it's Alpine or Aston Martin. I got this from the Behind the Glass podcast. Were like 40% engine power and running full fuel the whole time. So yeah, Mercedes, and then for Red Bull and Ferrari, I would have put Ferrari at the top, and I'm not a Ferrari fan by any means, even though Leclerc is my second driver in my F1 team, F1 my team. Ferrari have never been a brand that's interested me, road cars, F1, anything like that. I would have put them at the top until that last hour of testing where Red Bull did it, and Helmut Marko and his cheeky smile and all that stuff. We'll have to see how that goes. But yeah, I've got Red Bull at the top, then Ferrari, then Mercedes, then AlphaTauri, then Aston Martin, then Haas, McLaren, Alpine, Williams, and then Alfa Romeo. We'll have to see how we do in that. Something that I was going to say is I think the reason why it's so hard to do some of the mid-ground is because it wasn't really focused on. Alfa Romeo was focused on, because the drivers are interesting. Bottas has gone down a few teams and Joe's the new guy, as well as the gearbox failing. Williams, of course, Albon back, and the fire and stuff. Alpine, we didn't get too much of, only when they went near the top of the table. McLaren, we only really heard about because of the brake failure and the fact that they were only able to do 30 laps at a time. They couldn't really do like a long stint or anything. Haas, of course, was heard about a lot because of the plane breaking down, and then the fact they went faster during the extra time and how quick they were heard of a lot. Aston Martin, I didn't feel we heard a lot from. AlphaTauri the same. And then, of course, Mercedes, Ferrari and Red Bull. Mercedes because of how badly they looked like they were doing, and Russell, of course. And the fact that Ferrari was so good and then Red Bull got better again. And, of course, the one on the Red Bull car. So yeah, I think some of my decisions have gone down more to what I saw in the news. And, as we know, it's not, we shouldn't always believe the news. But you know what I mean. Anyway, so for top 5 drivers, I really struggled with this. And, in fact... what I've got listed as top 5 drivers actually would mean that the team order wouldn't work that I've just come up with. So I'm treating them as 2 separate things, kind of hedging my bets. Got 2 options here. I think there'll be 4 or 5 drivers fighting for the top spot for once, instead of it being 2 drivers until halfway through and then Hamilton runs away with it, or last year where it was 2, 4 or 5, I think, this year. Possibly. Again, it depends what's happening with Perez. He was fantastic towards the end of the year, and some of the things. It really depends. So what I'm going to say 5th, Russell. 4th, Sainz or Leclerc. I'll come back to that in a minute. Hamilton. 2nd, Sainz or Leclerc. I'll come back to that. And Verstappen. The reason why I'm saying Sainz or Leclerc is that I didn't really take too much notice of them in last season, so I'm not sure how they are as drivers. I think Leclerc has more raw pace but more prone to a mistake, whereas Sainz has less raw pace but is more consistent, so it's kind of like 60-40 and 50-50. They come up to the same amount roughly, but obviously you want to keep it in the 60s more than the 40s, but would you prefer to have 50 all the time? That's what we've got to think about. The reason why it's so hard to sort of order those as the top 3 teams is they kind of even each other out. So as I say, Leclerc and Sainz are kind of the same, 50-50 and 60-40. Hamilton and Verstappen are about the same, obviously, as we could tell last year. Car did matter. The Mercedes got better towards the end, so there is a little bit about that, but I think they are 50-50. And then Perez and Russell's, I would say, are about the same. Russell may have more raw pace, but I can see him getting more frustrated and having a few accidents. Perez maybe slightly slower, but kind of like Sainz and Leclerc again. So I think they are about the same, and that's why it's so hard to choose. Some would say that Sainz and Leclerc are the best pairing, and that's why they're in second for drivers. I'm also going to make 3 kind of more generic, but in some ways bold predictions. I think every team is going to get points this year of at least 8. Because I don't think they're going to score like 1 point. I think they're going to be 8 or even more. I think every driver is going to get a point. Even Guan Yu Zhou, I think there will be a race where it's rainy and the gearbox doesn't break and he will score a 10th or a 9th. I'm going to put that out there. We'll see. He is the one driver where I'm not sure. But I think the rest of them can do it. I'm also going to say, as I sort of said earlier a little bit, that I think the mid-pack teams, so kind of ignore the top 3, ignore the bottom 2 or 3, are all going to be within 10 points of each other, like 8 points to the one, and then 9 to the other, and 6 to the other. I think they're all going to be really close together. So there's my kind of 3 more general bold predictions. I am subscribed to Drive Crate, not a sponsor or anything. I wish they were. Show me some money, please. But they did have, like, what came in the last one was like a predict championship, predict constructors, and then some pre-season predictions. Actually, let's go through these. I'll have to think of them on the fly. This driver will score their maiden win. Norris. I'll write these down. Maiden win. Norris. Maybe, but the car, that's the problem. Norris. Because Sainz and Leclerc. I'm going to put Norris and Russell. I think they both will score their first podium. Problem is, a lot of them have already got first podiums. If I get the full list of drivers, Hamilton and Russell have obviously had podiums. Perez and Verstappen have. Sainz and Leclerc have. Ricciardo and Norris have. Ocon and Alonso have. Gasly has. So the options that we've got to choose from are... That's all there must be. First podium. I'll just delete the ones that don't. Tsunoda. That's not how it's pronounced, but that's how I'm spelling it. Tsunoda has Stroll. Stroll podiums. I think he has. Yeah, yes, what he had done. I think Albon has, hasn't he? Yeah. Albon has Latifi. So these are not the ones I'm choosing. I'm just writing down the ones that could have their first one. Latifi. Tsunoda, Latifi. Zhou, obviously. Can you imagine if Zhou gets a podium on his first fucking race in that fucking Alfa Romeo? It's knackered gearbox. Magnussen and Schumacher. Has Schumacher ever? So Schumacher. Magnussen. So Magnussen has one. So the options that we've got are so there's 4 people who could get their first one. So Tsunoda, Latifi, Zhou, and Schumacher. I'm gonna say Schumacher and Tsunoda. Come on, Tsunoda, don't let me down. So these things where Gasly would have to be out of the race for that. Best race of the season. Am I going to say Baku? I like Baku, but it can also be a bit boring. Monaco could be interesting this year just because of accidents, due to how the cars are. How far in is Monaco? Formula. Sorry, this is sort of divulged into something very different than what I expected. Stealth. Fuck off. I don't want a fucking golf club. Fucking hell. Race calendar. Schedule. Yeah, so I'm going to say Monaco and Baku because I think... Wait, where's Baku? Well, that's Baku. Well, it's not called Baku. Okay. They're early enough that I think they may not be... I don't like Baku normally. Monaco normally. Okay, biggest surprise. Question mark. Biggest surprise. No, don't be a surprise. Most driver polls I'm going to put as Verstappen. This team will finish higher than last year. Haas. Because this card still has, obviously, Git on it, Mazepin. Quite a safe bet is Haas. Who had the most penalty points in 2021? F1 2021 penalty points. Perez, Verstappen, Latifi, Vettel. Oh, Jesus. Yuki Tsunoda has to be careful. He's got 8. He can only get 4 more. Until April. I'm going to put Verstappen as that. Wasn't it Vettel who got most overtakes? Vettel, Alonso, Raikkonen, Stroll. How did Kimi Raikkonen have that many overtakes and finish so far down? Sponsored by Crypto.com. I'm going to be bold and say Haas. Why not? Haas. There we are. My other predictions are, we've already got them on here. Okay. So that is going to be the end of episode 1 of this random, probably F1 podcast that might also do other things. So I hope you enjoyed. If you did, click the like button. Also, don't remember to subscribe. Sorry, the end of this got a bit rambly and weird. Any questions or feedback or anything, leave it down below, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye bye.